look of like, oh,
Hi, everybody! Welcome to FriYAYs with Kyla. We're here with our very, very special guest, Sheri V, who's originally from the United States, but she's lived all over the globe, including the Middle East, and she's calling Korea home the
mm,
next few years. She just got here, and she's been creating these groups on around race, microaggressions, and really important conversations that we need to be having. And so inspiring. And she's a part of the With Warrior Facebook group, a very active member. And so just welcome. I'm so excited to have you. Yay!
thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. So my first question for you
Mm.
is, I'm just curious, like, why did you start these groups? What was your motivation behind that, and anything else you'd like to share with us?
Okay, well, I mean, it's actually just like us. It's just one group. It's basically here for our embassy community. But given all the divisiveness, especially built around race and race relations in the U.S. and globally, we decided that we feel passionate about that. And so my husband and I decided we were going to try to facilitate a conversation here. And so we called it Building a Stronger Community. And you had to run it up the chain. But yes, we're starting here and with that, and we'll see where it goes.
And tell us where your husband's from.
Oh, okay, he's from Michigan. He's from Detroit. Yeah. Yeah.
And
He's a first generation Dutch person born in the US. So yeah, we get it. I mean, we're an interracial couple. We've had our own instances of discrimination and bias depending on where we live. We never even think of ourselves as an interracial couple. It's not until somebody throws it up into our faces. But that just goes to show you that there really truly is a need to break down those barriers.
that's so awesome. So, how do you think we can have an uncomfortable conversation?
Well, first of all, you got to stop calling it uncomfortable. It is not uncomfortable. It is real. I mean, the thing with it first you recognize that your friendship group. Do you live in a kind of around and with people who only look like you? And if that's the case, you recognize, oh, I need a little diversity in my life, and you will then actively seek to change that.
That's
So
so great.
yes, that's where to start off right there with the that looking at yourself and your community, and then what can you do to improve it.
So, and you have a very diverse friendship group, you
Oh
mentioned.
yeah. Oh yeah. No, for sure, for sure. I mean, like I started off like when I was in Egypt, right? And I recognized that people would always come up to me and say stuff like, "So where are you from?" "I'm American." No, for real. Like, where are you from?" "U.S." And you're like, "Oh, but where's your grandparents from?" "The U.S." And so then I realized, then there's attitudes about what they think about Black people, right?
Mhm.
And so then but through my teaching of English conversation, I learned that when they started to interact with me, it broke down stereotypes and bias and discrimination type attitudes that they had. So, thus the conversations.
That's so great. And share with us what you do, in your own daily life, walking around the compound, the U.S. compound there.
Oh no, I believe that we all are parties of one, right? In meeting people and speaking to people and just being a kind-hearted soul. So yeah, no, I make myself a party of one in terms of trying to you know break down barriers, meet people. So yeah.
And you've started to make friends with the gardeners.
Oh yeah, no, I forgot about that. Yeah, no, I just love that because even when they cannot speak English, right? But they're so happy. One, and on an even whole different note, a lot of times people like the gardeners, they think that everybody kind of looks down on them because they're just the lowly gardener or the housekeepers that walk around. And so people don't even realize that they walk past these people, not seeing them for who they are, people with lives and families. And so anyway, I speak to the gardeners, and it's just such a kick when you go, hello, and then they say hello, and then you say, how are you? And they say, how are you? And it's just, and when they see you, no matter where they see you, they're beeping their horn or throwing up their hands and saying hi. Yeah, no, there's that, all those kinds of things goes a long way to building that happiness. And I know you're going to ask me about what makes me happy.
Yeah, I was just going to say that you totally just made their day as well.
Right.
I mean, and you're so lit up just talking about it.
Right.
We can feel your happiness.
Yeah.
So back to happiness. So
right.
what do you think the relationship is of, your work that you're doing around creating and bringing diversity and helping people understand that? What is the relationship between what you're doing and happiness?
Oh, well, for me, it's all about that inclusion. And, it's just so strange that people don't even realize some things about how folk are not included, I mean, like basic things like services, like people just automatically assume you come to Korea, you can go get your hair done in any old hair shop, blah blah blah. Well, that's not the case actually if you're Black, because you have your special considerations, right? So, but people just kind of like walk around their world and they don't really even fully understand that is people don't have easy access. And I think what makes me happy is that when people start to become more aware of the world around them and the other people around them and their needs, as it even relates to your own needs, then, it makes for a better integration of everybody,
Absolutely. I love that. So where do you get your hair done?
Oh, hey, there's a lady named Jenny who's in Taiwan. Actually, somebody told me about her before I got here. And since then, I've joined another group and I found out there's others. But the problem is that in my own embassy community, there was not like you could go and ask the liaison officer, oh, hey, and they could give you some information. But when it comes down to like African-American hair needs, they had to ask somebody else who was African-American in order to find out, to give me some information. So, now I can be that, that bridge and provide more information.
Great. And your hair looks amazing.
Oh, well, thank you. It's fresh.
Great. I love that. So do you have any questions for me?
Yeah. So, so I wanted to ask you, how do you see this quest for diversity, or my quest in making these conversations as being in tandem with and the with philosophy?
Yeah, that's a whole lot of widths. I love it. Yeah, I mean, there's so many levels, I think. But when you're truly with yourself and you understand yourself and what you're about and how open you are, or maybe you're not open, and that's okay.
Yep.
But what are the steps, if you're really about growth, because I'm all about personal growth.
Right.
So if you're really about personal growth and what we know about the data and the research, especially in corporations, right, is that diverse teams outperform homogeneous ones. And that's related to happiness, right? Because then you're outperforming, you're doing really well, you're really successful, yet we persist in our preconceived notions around having to work with homogenous teams. And that's not race, but gender.
Right. Yep.
But when you truly understand and work with yourself and excuse me, understand who you really are and what you're really about, then you can truly be with others. And by with others, I mean others, as you say, who don't necessarily look like you,
Right.
who might be a different religion, who might be
Right.
a different gender. And for me, I'm working through working with men.
Right.
Like,
Right. Right.
that's something that my ego is just like, ugh,
Yeah.
because there's PTSD around, working with, on the global speaking circuit, there's so many men.
Right. Right.
And
Right.
nobody looks like me. So working with myself through
Yeah.
that and trying to create change around that. So I really appreciate what you were doing. And it's so inspiring to see um, other women who don't look like the norm
Right.
out there doing your thing.
Right. So let me ask you this. Okay. So on that note, okay, because you're trying to be with these men on the global speak, but okay, so you're working on your own growth. But what can you do, or what would you suggest for the greater growing, the greater growth, with the movement of understanding?
Hmm. Yeah, that's a great question. So, and it's interesting because it's all related to, what I'm offering. And I think, so I'm, as most people know, and I'm offering this retreat at the end of May, the last weekend in May.
Uh-huh.
And there's so many levels to that too, right? But the main reason I wanted to offer it is I think for women, and we know the data around this too, but for women, true change happens with other women
Right.
first.
Right.
I'm
First.
not saying that we need to stay in that, but in order to really work through, a lot of the kinks and a lot of the challenges and a lot of the personal growth stuff, we need to be together.
Right.
We can lift each other up. We can support
Mm-hmm.
each other. We can really truly be with each other. And from the data too, what's happening around the world, and which is so awesome to see, is that women are banding together. In government.
Yeah.
I mean, we're seeing this in the U.S.
Yep.
So what's happening is women are seeking these opportunities to be together and to
Mm-hmm.
support each other.
Right.
And we're even seeing this in the co-sharing space. So now there's co-sharing spaces just for women
Oh, okay.
because women feel that safety and that that's one of the things that they need in order to thrive. And in fact, all of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of the three things that when we look at successful corporate teams around the world, it's safety, vulnerability, and then purpose.
Okay.
So, but I think once you have that group, like we have the With Warrior Facebook page, and you have your groups, um, and with the retreat for me, there's another level, which is, I've never thought that I could do it. I never thought I was good enough.
I don't know why not, but go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. And so that's something I'm working with and working through. But I think, and having talked to a lot of women around the world and having these same conversations with them, we're all struggling and with
Yeah.
the same challenge, right? And,
Right.
and a lot of it is what society's done
Mm-hmm.
with like these expectations of us as women
Mm-hmm.
that we then internalize.
Right.
I had this conversation with some women yesterday here about body image, and they're dealing with this with their daughters who are,
Yep.
6 years old.
Oh, yep.
And I mean, there's so many layers, but I think back to your question, so
Yeah.
before I get too off tangent,
Uh-huh.
but to build the foundation with yourself, get a tribe,
Mm-hmm.
get the tribe,
Third question.
and then create the freaking change. Just unleash it.
Okay. So then on that same note, okay, with the resistance, that's happening in the States. The women are wanting to, build their movement to protect our rights, your reproductive rights, fair employment rights, the whole 9 yards. Okay, but it's been kind of sputtering and stopping and sputtering and stuttering. It hasn't really. So do you feel that there's something missing, and what is that something that's missing in the foundation to move it further forward?
Yeah, and this will bring us back full circle to you.
Okay.
But I think what's missing is that inclusion.
Yes. I kind of agree with you. I agree with you on that. I agree.
You know what I'm saying? And what you keep telling me as well. So Sheri's been telling me, on a personal note, Kyla, what you're doing is really in line with what I'm doing, with what other African American women are doing in Korea. There's a lot of alignment, right? So I think that there are, and I see this, right? There's so many like awesome, like women-led startups, women-run groups, whether they're informal or they're formal,
right,
around the globe, and they're doing amazing things. And what we know from the data is that if you look at Fortune 500 companies that are run by women, they outperform the ones that are run by men. So we know that women are total badasses and can.
Yep.
Right? I mean.
Yep.
But I think that there's still, and this is, I feel that this is something I need to work through and want to work with other women on. But there's still this thing of, because there's so few women at the top, there is this whole preconceived notion of, okay, so women, we need to do this to each other.
Right. Yeah.
To get there, even though we know that together we're stronger, and in inclusion and diversity we're stronger, and
right.
The whole 9 yards, everything that you're doing.
Yep.
So and we know the data that women don't do that either. Like women are, that's society tells us to do.
Yep.
We internalize that again. So just supporting, what can we do, right? Like we've got, you were just listening to my friend Sarah's podcast, Dear White Women.
Yes. Yep. Excellent.
It's such a great podcast. I'm not in competition with her. Like I want to support her. She's a total badass. Like, and this is what this show is, right?
Right.
I want to uplift other women who are doing amazing things. And I think one of the other challenges for women is that often we're seen as like bragging if we promote our own stuff.
Right. No.
And men aren't, for whatever I mean.
Yeah, but there you go. There's the societal ideas that are just built underneath the level. You don't understand why you feel the way you do, but it's because it's been projected for centuries, and you just feel that way,
And something that we talked about when you came over was this notion of oneness, right?
Yeah. Oh,
and
we are us, for sure. Yep. No, that's true. My mom's old preacher used to say something to the effect of, two teeth are more effective together than they are apart. Like if you.
Oh, I love that. That's a great way to end. Thank you, Sheri's mom. That's so great. I love that. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me and for encouraging these kinds of conversations. I hope that people begin to look at their friend group and their community and recognize the need for diversity and actively seek out, folk who don't look like them and get to know them.
I love that. You're amazing. Keep on doing your amazing work and inspiring us with us.
Well, thank you. And you do the same, because you definitely inspire me.
Yay. Have a great day.
Yeah, you do the same.
Bye.
Bye.